Hi everyone, and welcome to another Ironhack webinar. And today we're having Marina and Carmen again. For those of you who have come to previous events with them, you'll know what we're talking about. For those of you who are new, well, all of you who are new to Ironhack in general, my name is Raquel. I work at
I think that's maybe Marina can take over at or no,
yeah.
No, yes.
me?
No, you were frozen for a while, but you seems to be back now.
All good. Can you hear me and see me now?
Yes. Now we
Okay,
can.
perfect. So sorry for these guys, and if at any point you can see or hear, please let me know in the chat, and we'll try to make it work the best way possible. As I was saying, I'm not sure where I was left off, but I'm from Ironhack, and we're a global tech school with bootcamps on web development, data analytics, cybersecurity, and of course UX UI design. And we have bootcamps all over the world, in Europe and in America, and also remote. So if you go to our website and don't find a city that you can work from, you know that we have also remote. But it actually has to know where you're seeing us from. If you're here in Europe, if you're in the Americas, in other place of the world, please let me know in the chat where you're seeing us from. If it's the first time that you're here, if you're an alumni, let us know. The chat is for that. And with that cue, I will go for the crowdcast rules, just so you know who you're dealing with. So in the chat, that some of you have already discovered and said hi. I really appreciate that you leave your comments, your feedback, and interact with each other. Hi, Mary from Europe. But if you want to ask questions, I would love that you could send them on the Ask a Question section, which is here below the videos. It's going to be easier for us to manage your questions. We will have alumni here. Perfect. We will manage them in the end, as we will have some time for an open Q&A. Marina and Carmen will try to answer them live, but mostly expect them to be answered in the end, okay? You can leave them there and you can upvote other people's questions. So if you really want to see some questions answered, leave them there. We will also be sharing a few useful links for you there, and you can upvote them so they appear on top. Other than that, here below the videos, you can see there's a green button. It says useful links and extra resources, and that's exactly it. You can see upcoming webinars that we'll be having, some blog posts, and even go to our website if you want to know more about us. And I'm amazed, a lot of people from different time zones in here. Hi, everyone, and welcome for those of you who are just arriving. So I think that's it. And for those of you who always ask, the webinar is recorded. So if you need to review this in any way, if you need to review the presentation, the questions, everything will be recorded. So you can go over to this link and check it again. All right, I think we're good to go, right?
Yeah. I think so, yes.
So go ahead, girls.
Yes, thank you, Raquel. I think that I will start just sharing the screen straightforward. Okay. Wait a moment. Yes. Can you see the presentation?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So hello to everybody. I'm Carmen Martinez, and I am here representing Flixbus. For the ones that they are not joining from Europe or Germany, Flixbus is a young mobility provider that launched in Germany in 2013. And we are offering sustainable and comfortable traveling by bus through Europe and the USA. I'm Carmen. I think this is the fourth time that I'm here with Ironhack in a collaboration that started last April with the beginning of the pandemic, and has been continued through it with a different set of webinars. And I'm working at Flixbus as a conversational UX expert, basically automating our customer care conversations with conversational AI. And today, as we are gonna use some methodology based on conversation analysis, I wanted to mention that I just published a book on conversation and conversation analysis. that actually I was announcing that was coming from last April, in each one of the seminars I was having with with Ironhack. And as the work was proceeding very slowly, I was thinking, oh my God, it's like, it sounds like a lie. It doesn't come out. It's not coming out. It's not coming out. But now it's finally out. And basically, conversation analysis is a part of social linguistics that studies human-to-human communication from an interactive perspective. And the vision on error that we're going to work on with it today is basically coming from it. And basically the main ideas that we're going to work with, you can find it there. And I also want to give some room to Marina to introduce also herself and what we have been doing together.
Thank you, Carmen. Yeah, I'm really excited to be here again with you. And well, for those who didn't join the previous webinar, my name is Marina. I work at Ironhack as well as an admissions manager, but today I'm here in a different role. I'm as a student, let's say. I graduated in media studies, and I also studied literature, philosophy, and art. And I have done some workshops and training on UX writing because it's a field that I really like. And yeah, I also have collaborated in my work experience with content, videos, writing to different projects and websites. So I'm always interested in how we can communicate using different media and tech. And yeah, basically my experience is in sales, marketing, customer service. So I'm not an expert in the field. That's why in this workshop, I will be more in the practical side. So in the exercise I've done with Carmen.
Yes, so this is a continuation of a previous workshop in which we were building together a prototype, a basic prototype that was working very smoothly only through Happy Path for basically selling pizza through a chatbot application. And today we are going to get into the dirty kind of area. What does it happen when your chatbot doesn't understand? So basically the contents that we are going to cover is just to make a short review of what is conversational UX design, because as a new discipline, there is like not always a very clear understanding of what conversational UX designers are doing. And after we are going to take it from the human perspective with the methodology of conversation analysis. We are going to play all together to be the conversation analyst. We are going to see what is happening in human-to-human conversation when we are going into an error state. We're going to see also very much in detail how do we fix errors in human-to-human communication, and how can we use that information, this human-centric perspective, to make your chatbot or your conversational system to understand better, or basically to apply more human-centric strategies when it goes into an error state. And with this information, Marina has created some solutions, some design ideas, and basically we're going to share it with you, and all together we're going to try to comment on them. And after, I hope that we will have enough time for some basic takeaways and questions and answers. So let's go for it. What is conversational UX design? I'm going to go very, very fast through this. Basically, as we have seen in previous sessions, conversational UX design is just another part of interaction design. And the objective is the creation of conversational interfaces that we humans could use in an easy way in order to perform tasks with a computer. There are basically three main subdisciplines inside of conversational UX design, depending on the channel of communication that the conversational agent, that the computer system uses with the users. If we are having a conversational system that uses text to interact with the user, then we have a text-based interaction, and the name of the discipline is text-based conversational UX design. If we are interacting only by voice with an intelligent personal assistant, we have voice-based interaction, and therefore we have voice-based conversational UX design. That differs a little bit from the one that we applied for chatbots, because we don't have graphical items there that could support our what is basically the structure of the natural interaction by voice with the system. And if we put all of that together, if we have text, we have voice as an input and an output, and also graphical items, we have their multimodal agents, like the one that you may have in your mobile phone, like Google, the Google Assistant. And yeah, so this is a content that we covered in previous sessions. If you want to get to know more on details about all of this, maybe you can find in the repository of Ironhack the dedicated sessions in both in English and Spanish for that. And today the topic then is errors. What is happening in our human heads, like the one that's in here in the picture, when we are going into an error state. Okay, so what is an error when we are having a conversation with somebody else? It's basically something illogical that happened in the change that we have to repair in order to the conversation to continue, and the common grounds or the mutual understanding of the interlocutor to be maintained. And this is a very important concept, because at the end, errors is about maintaining this idea or this feeling of common ground between the speakers. Common grounds or intersubjectivity or mutual understanding is basically the space that we create in conversation that makes able that we can transfer our ideas to the other speaker. So when an error happens, this logical exchange gets interrupted, and we need to recover it. We need to repair the error in order to create this, in order to recreate again this mutual understanding between the speakers. And this is basically a typical example of an error in natural conversation. Like somebody says, yesterday I met Antonio on the street, and the other person asks, Antonio? And the first person answers, yeah, Antonio, the guy who worked with me before. Ah, that Antonio, yeah. What's up with him? So here, the origin of the error is this person, Antonio, that is referred in the change, but one of the interlocutors doesn't know at the beginning to whom they are referring about, and this interrupt the mutual understanding between the interlocutors, and basically that situation has to be fixed in order to the interaction to continue. And what is very interesting about the errors in conversation is that they are natural to humans. And if we have a conversation, if we even make a task, if we do whatever human performance, we will commit errors. And actually, they take a lot of significant space in our conversations. If you go back to the bibliography about human-to-human communication, basically, we are like 13% of the time dealing with an error in our exchange, and therefore we need to apply a lot of effort to fix them. But we do it in a subconscious way, and basically the origin of these errors could be cognitive. They could be on something that we don't hear properly, or also in a linguistic item that is mispronounced. And technically, the name that we apply in conversation analysis to fix them is to repair them. So when we encounter a problem in our change, we have to focus the attention on it, and we have to fix it, we have to repair it in order to the conversation to continue. And what is interesting about humans dealing with error is that they represent one-time interruption inside of the conversations. So if an error comes along our way, they are solved very quickly, locally, and with the minimal numbers of utterances possible, like in the previous example, in which it was basically an exchange of 4 utterances. And we follow a structure. The repair is designed always and supposed to be following a certain structure that we use to recover the common ground. And I know that at this point, all of this is hearing to you like very theoretical and not very clear, but we are going to practice together, and you will see everything in practice. So what is the structure of these interactive repairs that we have to apply to solve the errors? Well, any repair in any language also have 4 parts. First, we have the origin of the problem, that is also called trouble source or reparable. And basically, it corresponds with the word that triggers the understanding, the hearing, or the speech problem. After that, we have to start the repair. So we have repair initiation. That is the term in which one of the interlocutors realizes that something is happening, that the error has arisen and has to arise, and it has to focalize the attention on the presence of the communicative breakdown. And we do that by a technique that is called framing, that's in which basically we articulate a question, or we repeat as a question the whole or part of the utterance where the problem is located. Again, this looks a little bit theoretical now, but you are going to see it very practically later on. And yeah, after the problem is solved, the person who has the outcome of the error, the person who can repair the error, provides the outcome. That is basically the utterance where the problem is solved. And something that is very interesting about humans is that if the solution cannot be given with the minimal number of turns, that is up to 4 or 5, the problem is abandoned, and basically humans forget about them and they continue with the main topic of the conversation. And finally, when the other interlocutor agrees on the fact that the right solution to the problem has been received, has to articulate a linguistic element that basically signals to the other person that the proposed solution is the right one, and marks the end of the repair sequence, and basically allows for the continuation of the conversation. Okay, now we're going to see all of this in practice. So in the same example, between these two people, we have as the origin of the problem Antonio, because the other interlocutor doesn't know, doesn't remember at the beginning who was exactly the person. So here we have the repair initiation, that it basically we do it through the framing, in which we take one part of the previous utterance, basically the very word where that originates the problem. We frame it and we repeat it with the intonation of the question, Antonio, and that signal to the other person that is basically that's the beginning of the repair sequence, and that the reference has to be clarified. So the other person provides the outcome of the repair. Yeah, the guy who was working with me before. And still, after that, we have to articulate the acknowledgement of the solution, that normally is a paralinguistic element like a or o or yeah, or just the repetition with a flat intonation of the same word. And after that, as the problem has been solved, the conversation can just continue. So now we have prepared this a pair of exercises where you have to analyze, or we have to analyze together, these small dialogues. So for this dialogue in which Ana and Juan are speaking, you have to identify and write in the chat what is the origin of the problem, what is the repair initiation, what is exactly the repair outcome, and what is the solution acknowledgement. So I think that it's not necessary that I read the dialogue. You have it in your screen, and basically you can type O and the words that you think that is the origin of the problem, R for the repair initiation, and so on. We do this for a couple of minutes. And Marina, you let me know when there is some coming out there.
Yeah, don't be shy. You just need to identify the origin of the problem, and you can just type O and let us know what the origin of the problem is, the repair initiation, the repair outcome, and the solution. So Okay. Where do you think is the origin of the problem? Go ahead and participate. Okay, we have Virginie here saying, and Carla, that the origin of the problem starts when Anna says in.
Yes.
Like in ... What was the name of that place? Okay. Okay, here someone is saying, Miguel is saying, the place we visited as the origin of the problem. And Alice, sorry, is saying, what is the name of that place as the origin of the problem? So we can identify that it's more or less in the same area, but some people put it first before in, and some people after in.
That is not so straightforward, yeah. Okay, I can start solving it because this is not so straightforward. So basically, the origin of the problem refers to the name of the place. No, Anna is speaking that a friend of her has been hiking in Spain in a place that they visit together with the other interlocutor, and she cannot recall the name of the place. So I think that's the origin of the problem, is the name of the place itself. And linguistically, when we mark these citations, like we are trying to remember something, I say like and there is like vowels that they are getting longer, or some these intonation marks. It means that we are trying to reach for that kind of information, and we cannot access it. And the repair initiation is the question, what was the name of that place? Now it's coming from the speaker itself, because it cannot access the referent of the name of the place that she's referring to, and basically is asking for help to the other person. Mm-hmm. And the repair outcome, did somebody wrote about the repair outcome in the chat?
Not yet. Carla did write about the repair initiation, and she did it right. What is the name of the place? But nobody has said yet what is the repair outcome. So if you have any thoughts, feel free to share it in the chat. You're doing pretty well, so.
As Anna is asking about what was the name of the place, the repair outcome is then the name of the place that they are referring to. So is the irati forest. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Carla did it well. Yeah.
And the solution acknowledgement is yes, that one, the irati forest. Basically the repetition of the input of the other person. Okay, that was maybe not so straightforward for the first case, but we have another example. And what do you think, guys? Is this a cognitive, a hearing, or a speech problem? Is the origin of the error coming in a cognitive breakdown of the human, in a hearing problem, or in a speech problem from the other interlocutor?
Okay. Here, most of the people they are saying is cognitive.
It's cognitive because Anna knows about the name of the place, but she cannot remember it at that moment, so she cannot access that. So this is because she's asking help from the other person. So it's a cognitive problem. And this is a big problem.
Yeah.
And this is the irati forest in the north of Spain. Okay, let's do a second one, okay? And now Anna and Juan are speaking about a party. Anna says, and everybody was like crazy in the party. The whole thing went really out of control. And Juan says, what party? Oh yeah, true, you weren't there. My brother's birthday, we celebrated it on Saturday. What did you do, guys? So what is the origin of the problem? What is the repair initiation? What is the repair outcome? And what is the solution acknowledgement?
Okay. So yeah, here they're saying the origin of the problem would be party, the word party.
Yes.
Okay.
And what is the part of the dialogue that frame the repair initiation?
Yeah, so some people are also saying that the origin of the problem would be what party. What do you think about that, Carmen?
Yes, the party, no, but what is the other interlocutor thinking is, yeah, maybe there are many parties that have been going on lately, so what party? Which one of them? Yeah. So she wants to frame, see, the other interlocutor will be like unsecure about what event is exactly referring to, so then is initiating the repair with what party.
Yeah, so just to clarify, for those who wrote in the chat, the origin would be what Anna says, the party, and the repair initiation would be what party, right, Carmen?
Exactly, yes. Okay. What party is the framing of the problem? The repair initiation.
Okay. And then...
And what is the repair outcome?
Yeah, here Lorena is saying that the repair outcome is my brother's birthday.
Exactly.
Okay, Virginia is saying that too.
Yes. In principle, could be only my brother's birthday, and the extra information is providing about the birthday. We celebrated it on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
And what is the solution acknowledgement?
Yeah, Miguel mentioned that it was the solution acknowledgement.
Yes, And after that, the rest of the sentence is just the continuation of the conversation. What did you do, guys? So once again, what do you think is the origin of the problem here? The origin, and what is the error here? What kind of error is a cognitive, a hearing, or a speech error?
Yeah. Cognitive, yeah.
Yes, because it's not that the other person mispronounces the word party, or the other person doesn't hear properly party. Is that they don't know exactly to which party they are referring to, so it's cognitive. And yeah, this is a party. I don't know if you remember parties, you know, like when people used to meet together and dance and have fun and not to keep social distance and so on. So, but we will get back to them, you know. Okay, this was interesting. The other day I was giving the same talk, and it's very interesting to see how people react to these ideas differently. It's not so easy. This is very interesting to see that although we are doing these devices on a daily basis, I mean, like continuously in our conversations, it happens in a subconscious way in our minds. So although they are part of us, we have to self-analyze ourselves. How do we use language in order to understand how do we deal with errors and how do we get out of them? And then what is happening when the chatbot doesn't understand? When a chatbot doesn't understand, basically happens completely different from this case of Justino, the chatbot that does understand. This I'm gonna show you, or Marina is gonna walk you through the prototype that we created for the previous session. That was basically a happy path, and Justino, that is personificating the seller of a pizzeria in Toronto, basically is able to offer the customer the products without any problem. So we are gonna go back to the prototype, and for the ones that they don't know it. And after we are going to break it. So do you want to tell Marina what was Justino making?
Yep. Sorry, just one thing, Carmen, because there was some request that maybe we could go faster. But at the end, this is an introduction to this field. So just for you to be aware of that, we want to make all the concepts super clear, especially for beginners. So yeah, we are happy to to keep with the session, and of course, any requests, feel free to ask in the questions or in the chat. But for the moment, since this is an introduction to this field, we're gonna keep up with this rhythm. So yeah, great. Thank you, Alice. So basically, in the previous webinar, I created Justino. There is a chatbot who was offering the menu and selling pizzas to a user. And I had to create the tone and voice of this chatbot. I had to develop the personality and create a happy path in which the user will interact with the chatbot and everything would go just fine. Like the user that I named Mike was able to talk to Justino, let's say, and make his order his margarita pizzas and his beers, and make the payment and everything. And it would be just a happy path in which everything was working well. You can see that I introduced different items and like buttons or like different paths that the user could follow based on his requests. There were no errors, or there was never an interaction in which someone didn't understand something or there was something wrong. Everything was easy, and yeah, that was the objective for that one. Yeah.
Okay, so today we are gonna break it, or we played to break it a little bit. So yeah, for Justino, the happy path from the beginning was very straightforward. Everything was working smoothly. And yeah, if somebody was asking him, how can I help you? And the user was asking for a pizza, was able to show the most popular ones. And today we are gonna test what should be happening if we encounter the unhappy path, therefore the error. If the chatbot offers help and the user says something, types, because we are in a chatbot application, types something unexpected, and then Justino breaks. And what is happening when Justino is breaking? Basically, it goes to a fallback situation in which the user written input is out of the domain. It cannot be matched with any level of, the necessary level of confidence to any one of the intents of the system. And that normally means that the sample utterances that you have provided for its intent don't serve the system to pick up the suitable intent. So in this, the situation in which says something that is out of the domain and the chatbot answers, sorry, but I don't understand, that normally is a very normal solution for conversational design. But if, as you see, it breaks the basic principle of human-to-human conversation that we have seen before. Normally, when we go into error state, we don't tell the other person, sorry, but I don't understand, and we just stay like that. We try to repair the situation together and basically get back into the topic of the conversation. And yeah, for this is another visualization of the example, but basically what is happening is that in order to your system to answer, would you like me to show you the most popular ones, that is the expected reaction, you have fed the system, kind of speaking, with different sample utterances, but you forgot, of course, and always happens, or you didn't think about the possibility of the user saying, I want to see what is new, and therefore Justino breaks. So what should we do? Following a principle of human-to-human communication to recover in any kind of way the conversation. And in general, even in the system is not confident that it still is in the same page with the user to find a way to continue the transaction. And here we go into the exercise that Marina received, and maybe you can tell for everybody what you were supposed to do.
Yeah, so basically it's the example that Carmen explained before. The chatbot Justino would say hi to the user as long as he would get in the application or in the chatbot, and would ask, how can I help you? And he had a number of expected answers, but in this case the user would say, I want to know what's new. And as you can see in this case scenario, the bot answer needs to continue the interaction and should be able to offer a path for the user. But this interaction or this sentence that the user said or wrote is not included in his system. So he should try to find a way to repair that conversation and go back to the original path in which he wants, let's say, or the chatbot needs to show the menu and continue with the interaction. So should we see the solution, Carmen, or?
Yes, I can play for you, and let me reload it.
Yeah, okay.
Here it goes.
So, yeah, basically, when the user say, I want to see what's new, Justino, the chatbot, tells him that he didn't get that. So he initiates the repair solution. He says, okay, there is a problem here, and gives an alternative path by showing the menu with 3 buttons so the user can check what he wants to know.
Yeah, so this is just an idea, and the possibilities are many, but basically the main idea to convey was that yeah, we cannot, the fallback cannot stop the conversation, even if in the path that Marina is offering here, still the customer doesn't get into the place where he wanted to go. Just by putting this step into the interaction, we will understand more of how to solve such errors in other contexts. So just it's only for saying that there is not only an ultimate solution.
Yeah. For me, when I was trying to fix that error, one of the things that was really different with human interaction is that, of course, we have, I don't know, we have in the examples that we saw before, humans, we have a lot of imagination, and we can try to solve these cognitive errors by thinking or by imagining what the other person means. So in my case, at first, I was working more on disambiguation, really, than in fixing the error, because you know, you should put yourself, or the chatbot, as a chatbot, you should think, okay, I'm in a position in which I don't understand anything of what this person is asking. I don't know if he wants the menu, or if he wants to know about the location or about delivery. So this is, you know, it's a situation in which you need to think as a machine, and you cannot try to guess, you know, because that was my first, when I started doing it, I was like, okay, what I would do as a human, I would try to guess, maybe, like what we saw with Antonio and with, I don't know, the Irati Forest and all of that. But in this case, you have to be more specific and give like simple and really close solutions or options to the user. So at the end, you are, as a chatbot, you are in control of the conversation.
Yeah, and another thing that you were doing was to add in this, sorry, I didn't get that, but still opening the, I mean, using something like a human marker to signal the user that now I don't know really what is going on, but let me try again. So not to close the conversation at that point. Yes.
We have some interactions in the chat, some questions and alternatives here. So yeah, so we have like Carol is asking, do we think the apology part halts the momentum of the conversation? Would it work? Yeah, would it work without it and just present the menu, or rather what would you like to know?
Let's take that for the end of the presentation, because we have still the second example, but yeah, it's very good question. Let's not forget about that.
Also, if you want, so the question doesn't get lost in the chat, you can use the ask a question button, so we can go back to that. If you don't mind copying and pasting it in the ask a question button, we can talk about that at the end. Thank you.
And still, we added a moment of error in another part of the original interaction of the happy path with Justino. Do you want to tell about it, Marina?
Yes. So yes, of course, in the happy path, the user would go, see the menu, make his order, and end up buying, right? So in this case, when he's ordering, the user decides that he wants to review the order. So we assume that the system doesn't understand and needs to find a way to figure out what the user needs, so they can continue with the conversation and with the buying. So yeah, this is how I fix it.
Let's see how it was.
Yeah. This is in the middle of the path. So like when the user, like we assume that the user has been buying a few items, and now he's going through the pizzas. Yeah. And then
once the order wants to review them.
Yeah. And Justino says, okay, I didn't get that.
And finally, is able to understand the request.
Because they are talking about the order, the first option that Justino shows to the customer or to the user is something related to the order. So do you want to continue with what we are doing, or do you want to stop what we are doing? So this was the first idea to go back to the conversation, in which Justino says, do you want to keep ordering pizzas? So as he says no, then Justino it's like zooms out and says, okay, what other things you may need, right? And again, I use the same strategy like of the buttons, because I think it's what avoids more mistakes. Just giving the user really specific options instead of letting the user write. That can lead to even more mistakes and can be also frustrating for the user.
Yes, and this is one of the many solutions that you can get for the problem. But at the end, as main takeaways is to understand that you will always need to deal with errors. It will be part of the conversational experience, especially at the beginning when you are at the first step of creating the system, and you don't know what is exactly all the details of the domain that you are dealing with and all the possible intents that the customer can have. But they cannot be treated as barriers that stop the interaction. They need to be solved. And yeah, you can use conversational design to recover the conversation following this strategy. And basically, it's difficult because, yes, at the end, you are building a system, but you should start from a human perspective in which basically stop the interaction or close completely the conversational experience when the error comes up is not the solution. And of course, by implementing those solutions, or by just studying what is inside of your errors, you can use also that information to expand the capabilities of the system in the future. At the end, I think that one of the favorite parts of the conversational design is go through the logs and see what people has typed or said, and use that information that was not recognized in order to refine the capabilities of the system. And for Marina?
Yeah. To be honest, I learned a lot. This was my first time working with errors and with repair sequences, so it was really interesting. For me, what I found out is that framing, it's crucial, just focusing on one specific aspect to repair, because for me at the beginning, I would try to repair everything and to just recover conversation as soon as possible. And at the end, framing is what gave me the key, so I could go little by little, let's say. And also the human-bot interaction in this case, because in the happy path, I was trying to humanize the bot as much as possible, like to put him a name, a voice, a tone, and everything. And in this case, yes, I had to keep that, but also I had to understand how the bot worked and what errors he could find. So I found out that when I thought about dialing, like when you talk to a machine, like or to a phone, and you dial, like, oh, if you want to continue, press 1. If you want to do this, press 2. So that was really inspirational for me to understand how I could fix these errors. And also, another takeaway is that, for me, because I was a bit confused with this ambiguation, I thought of errors as a wall. Like, okay, there is a point in which the chatbot has to say, I don't understand anything. This is not, and that's what the wall comes. But yes, you can repair that. And and basically there is once you go through the whole sequence, at the end there is an aha effect in which you are like, okay, we're back to the point where the error started, and you have built that step by step. So it's like there is a strong logic behind it. So it's like, it feels good. It's like, okay, we are back where we left. So yeah.
Yeah, so I think that was everything on our side, and I'm going to stop sharing the screen now. I
will stop.
Oh no. No. Yes, I couldn't see the cross.
Yes.
It was in the matrix, you know. Like.
So how did you feel? How did everyone feel with the webinar? I saw that you were all interacting and answered the questions. For those of you asking about if the pace was not okay with you or if anything happens, you can review this webinar as it is recorded. You can access it through the same link. So after the webinar ends, you will be able to see the recording just the same way that you're watching this one live. That's perfect. So we have a few questions. And we still have a few minutes to answer them. Shall we go for them?
Let's go.
All right, perfect. Well, the first question that we have in here is from Alice, and she's asking, how do you decide what is the best way to repair an error? Do you A/B test possibilities and then decide what's best, or just get a feeling that what will work best?
We got feelings in data-driven decisions. No, not good. I think that's from the conversational data that we have at HAMS, we get objective insights of things that may work better or or not. So yeah, I think that A/B testing is actually a very good idea, and because I'm trying to, if I try to speak in an abstract level, that, I mean, without mentioning product specifically, but once you are inside of this system, if you have built it, you know that's what kind of different errors you have at hand, and some of them how to just fix it with different strategies, but still you need data and you need enough insight for the client. So I think that's would be very good strategy, just to get all your fallbacks and to divide it into different kind of errors depending on the origin you may think or you see on the data that they have, and implement different solutions for them that you may also A/B test. Yeah, but making data-driven decisions.
Yeah, that's great. Well, we have a follow-up question in here. So you mentioned that A/B testing, it's a good way to go. And if you go on this path, what's the sample size that you take, the measurements you think are valuable when taking one choice or the other?
Let me read it again, because I was actually in the next one. Yeah, I didn't see it was the follow-up ones. Sample size you take, that is very much related to your data. And yeah, I think that I not be able to give so much of detail, yes.
Yeah, it's a general question, it depends.
It depends.
Yes. It is the case. And we have another question in here, the following question. What is a good response for a no input error? I didn't hear you. Repeat, please. Make the users angry. What do you suggest?
Yeah, it's the no input. Is the user aware that he made a non-input mistake? What is the origin of the non-input? At the end, there are some cases in which if the system doesn't state explicitly that it's a non-input, the user, it may not understand that is a non-input. And yeah, as I go through error, I encounter myself in the situation of asking to myself sometimes, is it strictly necessary that the system make explicit the origin of the error? For the context that Lorena is referring about, I may maybe use a copy like sorry, say again, because indirectly signals the speaker, the user, that it's a non-input error, but it doesn't ask for repetition, because especially if we are using this copy in different templates across our system, if it is another kind of error that is not a non-input error, it will trigger the same response by the user. If somebody says, I want potatoes, and the system doesn't understand I want potatoes, if you ask him, repeat, please, and still it didn't get the I want potatoes, you are not helping the rephrasing of the input. So I will go to a more indirect solution that covers the face of the system. The system doesn't need to acknowledge always what is the origin of the problem, and would trigger a variety of responses on the user. So you have more possibility to recognize the input. But this is voice, guys. We were speaking about chatbots.
That's true. But I hope this was clarifying for you. This was the answer that you're looking for, Irene. And the upcoming question, a big one, and about one of the examples that you mentioned. The restaurant menu example, it works to show all the options by bots to the user. But in more complex businesses, it will not be viable to show all the options to users to pick from. What do you think if the bots instead ask, what do you mean by that? Can you explain more? Some thought of sentence that will encourage user to use different way to ask the same question. What's your opinion on this?
How do you train? What do you mean by that? Or can you explain more? It's too open from my point of view. To start with, maybe when you have a very good system with a lot of refined capabilities, you go into that direction. But I will go into asking, using parameters, filtering by ingredients or filtering by other sources of information. But what do you mean by that? and the system to be able to understand that.
Too open.
Too open, too risky for the beginning.
All right. I hope that answered your questions. And the next question we have, do we think that apology part holds the momentum of the conversation? Would you work without it or just provide opinions? Too many apologies can become tedious and may appear insincere from a bot.
Do you want to comment on that, Marina? Maybe?
Yeah, could be. Yeah, it's true that I don't know, like for me, it's a way of making it a bit more human, and also to make the user feel like they are the ones giving instructions, even though the bot has its own path and it's the one that it's also trying to lead the user. Of course, I think that too many apologize might not look so good, and can be maybe, I don't know, it depends on the voice of the bot, and it depends on how it's said. But I don't know, in this case, I try to make it also a bit natural, and also for the user to feel that it wasn't the user's fault, because I think there is a frustration element in the interaction with a chatbot, in which if something doesn't go well, you're willing to abandon and to say, okay, I'm going to leave the chatbot because it's not working. So yes, there should be a balance, but I think it's better to put the error on the chatbot than on the user. I don't know, what do you think about that, Carmen, because you have more experience?
Yeah, I see your point, and I want to remind everybody that this is the second exercise for Marina about conversational design, and she's starting out of completely from scratch. But yeah, people that's dealing more on a daily basis with systems, we know that apologetic language for system, from my point of view, are not best practices, because at the end, yes, what is the tone of the interaction you want to set there? Once you apologize you may be apologizing more times, and systems shouldn't be apologetic. Systems should be efficient. So there is a very fine line that we have to control, and for me, it's not connected with the voice of the brand or even the image of the brand. It should be more pragmatic. It should not use human devices of politeness, because it sounds unnatural for the system. And this is the same problem that we have with the acknowledgement tokens, and that's a signal courtesy, like thank you or please. No, you have to be very, very detailed on using them, because I allow to myself in copy one please here and there, but only in situations in which the system is maybe demanding too much information from the user, or a higher level of collaboration. But thanks, thank you, apologetic language, and things like that, they shouldn't be overused. They are not natural for systems.
Well, that was a good answer. I think it was very clear. Carol, maybe say it in the chat if you'd like to know something else about this. And another question that we have in here from Maria: what happens when you're using WhatsApp that doesn't have buttons? How do you recover the conversation flow in that case, when the bot does not recognize what the user is saying?
A WhatsApp that doesn't have buttons. Have you seen people designing for WhatsApp with the emoticons of numbers? For that, press or write one. They have already found a way of substituting the button by the emoticons. But in that case, if you don't have buttons, you just try to manage the flow of the conversation by recognizing written input. That is more complicated. So it's not so efficient in that case. It could be very tricky. Yeah.
All right. We have another question here, and this one, it's a bit more, let's say, from the user point of view. So maybe you have some data to talk about this. I see chatbots in many places, but I personally never use them because I find it a waste of time and frustrating. Am I unusual in these? Does everyone else like them?
Do you want to take that one, Marina?
Okay, yes. I mean, I can talk as a user because this is also my experience with chatbots. It is true that since I've been collaborating with Carmen, I've paid more attention to chatbots, and I do think that maybe, I don't know, this is my feeling, maybe we're still or companies are still experimenting with chatbots, and maybe that's why we are not, as users, we are not so used to it, or maybe when there are errors, it can feel frustrating. And also it could be that I think a lot of data is needed to create a good chatbot, and companies need a lot of information to do it right. So maybe that's where that feeling comes from. And of course, you know, I've had that experience also by trying different chatbots, but I think that's the reason behind it. And to be honest, while I've been like building one, you can see all the possibilities that it has and how it can make communication more efficient, and how we can, I don't know if substitute, but of course it can help a lot in getting like fast information for users, and especially on my side, like for customer service, it's super interesting. It's a great tool that maybe needs to be improved by companies, and we as users need to get used to it. But yeah, these are my thoughts.
Do you want to add anything, Carmen?
No, I don't want this.
All right, perfect. We have another question in here from Marianne. At what point can the bot take a leading approach, almost like selling and entertaining the user to buy something and understand the product?
Well, that's depend on the maturity of your product itself. I think that it's not an iterative process, and you have to build the system step by step. So this is coming from the process of the development of the product itself.
All right. I think that we're going to close with this final question from Rehan. I think I'm saying the name correctly. And let's start. It's a big question. As many businesses implementing chatbots for the frontline customer support, maybe in the distant future, do you think it would be possible that there is a system to which all the learning from chatbots can be gathered, so a chatbot can be improved itself by learning from other chatbots through AI? What are your thoughts on this?
What is this, like meta something? I don't know. I cannot read the future. I don't have an answer for this, really.
But do you think that this is possible? Maybe not. Maybe you have no idea.
I have no idea. No.
All right. I think that we'll be closing the questions for now. And we are already on time. Just to remind you all that here, the questions that have been answered are unanswered, but there's still a topic on the Ask a Question section with some useful links and articles that Carmen has shared. So in the book. So if you want to go through it, it will be here after the webinar ends. As all the questions and the recording, as I said before, you will be able to access the recording if you need to review it in this very link. So it will be available as soon as we finish. Do you want to add anything before we go, either Carmen or Marina?
No, it was, again, a very nice experience for me. I didn't have visual access to the chatbot while I was doing the presentation, so I was not having a real input about how engaged people were, and now I can see that they were more engaged of what I was feeling from being alone in front of my PowerPoint. But I like that everybody liked it, or the most of the people are satisfied, and looking forward to the next one.
Yeah, I just want to thank everyone for all your interactions, for participating, and yeah, thank you also, Carmen, for everything, and Raquel. So yeah, it was really fun, and I really enjoyed it. So thank you, everyone.
That's great. I hope everyone enjoyed as well. I'm really happy that you got to interact, and I really hope this was very useful for you. And I guess I really hope to see you next time in upcoming webinars. So we're going to have news soon here at Ironhack regarding to UX and much other topics. So if you want to see upcoming webinars and some extra articles, go to the green button. But other than that, have a lovely evening, at least if you are in Europe. If not, good morning. And I'll see you soon. Bye, girls, and thank you.
Bye-bye.